Welcome to another episode of Searching for McGuffin with your hosts, George.
Gabe.
And Dan.
Wait, no.
What?
No.
And
I didn't know you were going to
Yeah, that sounds weird.
go back.
Oh,
Do it again.
back
Go.
to the future. Welcome. Oh, wait. Another silent bit?
No. I want this in the episode.
Okay. Welcome to another episode of Searching for McGuffin with your host, George.
Dan.
And Link. Wait, no. Gabe.
Are we going to stick with that one?
We have no and.
If we travel.
Okay, wait. One more time.
One more
But
time?
no and.
You know, if you try to go back and just fix everything that you've ever done wrong. Welcome to another episode of Searching for McGuffin with your host, George.
Dan.
Gabe. And Gabe.
What? There's no way you messed it up again.
Because Link is always here. When he misses, it's like it throws everything off because it's usually and Link. It's so finite. It ends there.
Yeah, there's no period to this sentence.
So are we done with the intros now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Commence.
Well, as you can see, we have for the very first time in the studio our producer that you can't see on screen.
Thank you for having me.
Are you going to lower that mic from your face at any
No.
point? No? Okay.
He's like one of those people that go on the radio shows that just cover their faces in like ski masks.
Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to refer to those people.
It's just one person that you don't talk about, but other people do that.
Why is the guest in the studio whispering things to me? I
There's
don't
a guest?
understand.
Is it?
I think it's Link, the spirit of
The
Link.
Spirit of Link. Is
Okay.
that the new Zelda game?
Oh,
Whoa.
Spirit Tracks.
The spirit of Link.
The spirit of Link. So, what do you think, producer Dan? Now that you've come from outside that little box that you usually sit in on the screen,
I'm a real boy now.
That's true.
Pinocchio. So
The Tom
Yeah.
Hanks one or the
the
Guillermo del Toro?
no, the other third Russian one that
I'm-
completely flopped.
There's the third.
There's a third one.
They made 3 Pinocchio
Yep.
movies this year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I haven't seen any of them.
Me neither.
Okay, that's fair.
What did you say? I zoned out. There's a third Pinocchio
There's a
movie?
there's a third one.
A
It's-
Russian one?
Yeah, it's Russian.
We don't support that.
It's really
that one,
weird.
right?
It's a weird movie. No, it's a weird movie.
But
Actually,
it's probably better than the Tom Hanks one.
That's
Hard to argue with, I know.
yeah. What have you? Has anyone seen what are we laughing at now?
Comedy.
Okay. I don't know how to transition to it, so I'm just gonna straight up say it. You guys seen the Ant-Man trailer?
No.
You really? Is that true?
I didn't see the second
Have you
one.
actually not seen
I
it?
didn't see the second one. I saw the
Second one
first
had a lot. So if
The
you're avoiding spoilers, I wouldn't watch it.
Wait,
How many trailers are there?
Just 2, right?
oh, maybe I did watch it. That's the one where, spoilers, we find out, like, the main plot? Right?
I don't know. Maybe I didn't see that one either.
Is there another one?
They dropped one during Monday Night Football when the tickets went on sale, and it was just like, "Hey, tickets are on sale," and that's it. That was the trailer for me. Did I watch the wrong one?
Maybe. Did you watch the Mandalorian trailer?
Yes, I did.
I haven't seen that.
What?
Yeah, I haven't watched that trailer.
You have excellent posture.
Thank you.
Do you, like, naturally have that, or is it you doing that on purpose?
No, it was
He's-
natural, but now I can't undo it.
I'm just gonna, like...
He's just gonna sit rigidly like this for the
Yeah.
rest of the episode. I have terrible posture.
I think we all do.
Why?
Don't you wish you could go back and fix it?
A lot of it has to do with, you know...
Yes, we'll get to that.
looking down on our phones and being stuck in that position, or not training our back muscles enough, or chest muscles
Chest muscles or back muscles?
being too tight,
Just being like too toy.
being too tight. I said it, so I can't say it.
Producer Dan, you are allowed to laugh. You are on the show.
I don't like to laugh into the mic. It's loud.
Okay, so you could just turn, but you can still laugh. You don't have to be like,
It's just
like hands over
no,
mouth.
that's how.
It just affects my posture.
yeah, that's how I laugh regardless.
Well, I don't even see how you were laughing.
what were you mentioning about wanting to go back to your back?
What?
You wanted to adjust your posture? What?
What are you talking about?
Gabe mentioned he was like, "Oh, my posture," and then Dan's like, "Wouldn't you like to go back?"
To back day, so you can fix your posture. Back and biceps.
Oh, I think you meant like back in time.
Oh, you want to go back to the gym?
I want to go back to a lot of things.
What are some things like growing up that you wish you would have known?
About like my life?
Yeah, like things if you could go back and you could change like something from, let's say, childhood or your younger years.
Bitcoin.
Elaborate, please.
Like hopping in
No, I just wish I knew
or
about it.
selling.
Not do
before
anything, like not
you
actually
drop?
act on it, just know about it.
Yeah, we've been planning to like do a deep dive into Bitcoin, and then like now I don't even think we need to.
No,
or-
now we have to.
Oh, okay.
It's
Do
like,
we?
yeah,
Why?
gotta, pay respects to the dead because it kind of died.
Yeah.
Well, it is.
For me, it's drinking water. Like nobody told me when I was a kid that I needed to drink water. They used to just sell soda at schools, and we used to just drink soda all day, and like no one ever hydrated. And now, like I see kids are all with their like jug of water, and I'm like, I'm proud of them because they know that hydration is important. But in 1993, nobody told us we were supposed to be drinking water.
Not even like your body.
No, because we used to drink Crystal Bay. Do you know what Crystal Bay is?
Where did it have a powder?
And no,
Was
that's
it like a-
Crystal Light.
Crystal Light. Is what I'm
I know
thinking.
Crystal Light.
No,
What's
no.
Crystal Bay?
Crystal Bay is like a clear soda, basically, that comes in like raspberry flavors or lemon lime flavor. And it was
It's the
just
same
like,
crap.
they sell them in bottles, or they did
Why
back then.
do you look like that?
You look like what?
Right, he turns like this.
You got me in my head about my posture. Now I can't loosen up.
Some people listen to this show, right? So they have no idea what you're. Okay.
Hold on.
If you're hearing a bunch of crashing, it's because our producer has never,
never been here
physically
before.
been on set until today.
He's like Bubble Boy getting out of the bubble.
Yeah. And if you're not listening to a bunch of crashing, it's because our producer is really good and he edited it all out
It
afterwards.
all depends on him, really. I
Yeah.
think he's testing.
I'm not editing
He's
it.
challenging himself.
Are you putting your hands up like a mime? Like if you're trapped in a box?
I'm Bubble Boy.
That's not.
I know who Bubble Boy is. Okay.
The one from Seinfeld or the one from
Oh, I
the
Jake
movie
Gyllenhaal?
Bubble? Yeah.
yeah, both.
They're not
Both?
the same character.
Jake
Yeah,
Gyllenhaal-
aren't they the same
Well,
technically?
I think the Bubble Boy in Seinfeld is supposed to be based on a real life Bubble Boy, but I don't think that Jake Gyllenhaal movie is based on like a real life.
It's not.
Bubble
I thought that was the same character. They
You
just
Yeah.
you
got a
thought that was
bigger
like
actor.
an autobiographical like story about
Not like
a
real,
life
but I
kid?
thought they just made like
Isn't
a
there
character
several-
off of the Seinfeld character.
Isn't there several Bubble Boys?
Yeah, there's several Bubble Boys, but I think
But there's one Bubble Boy. The Bubble
And
Boy.
now we've come to the root of our episode, the Bubble Boy.
Yep. Today's episode is brought to you by Bubble Boy.
Bubblegum Shrimp.
Bubble Joe.
Wait, can we get sued for that?
Bazooka Joe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's change topics.
Yeah, no, I think it's parody. I think it falls under fair
Okay,
use.
good.
Yeah, that's what I say every time I make photocopies in my classroom.
It's parody.
My class is just a joke. You guys didn't answer. I wouldn't drink Crystal Bay. I'd start drinking water.
What would you change, Dan?
You really put him on the spot there, man.
You probably would've, like-
I wasn't ready.
Do
What
you
would
think-
you change?
Do you think, I'm talking about in your position, do you think that you would have been like either try to excel and skip a grade or get held back a grade so that you didn't have to graduate during COVID?
I mean, I guess I did underachieve. I probably could have skipped. Probably could have.
Were you clearing your throat, or were you being like a sarcastic, like
No, I actually.
underachieved?
No, I actually had something in my throat.
Oh, okay.
But
He wouldn't. Why would he be held back?
What?
Why would he be held? Why would he hold himself back in order not to graduate?
If
in
he
COVID?
knew-
it's the COVID
if he
year.
knew-
But no, but the
Wait, did
year
they have a
no,
COVID
yeah,
graduation
the
too?
year after was worse.
Yeah.
So how would you
Would I
feel
change?
about getting held back twice?
He would have excelled. He'd know
That'd be
everything
great, yeah.
twice as good as he does now.
I don't even tell him to go back till that he knows what's going to happen in the
Yeah.
future. I just tell him, yeah, just stay.
Oh, you can't mess with your past self, though.
No,
can't-
okay.
According to
What?
who?
No, what time travel is this? Because like, am I going back into my previous body, or am I like, is there two me's?
There's 2 years.
There's two me's.
Yeah.
Is it weird that I imagined you as like those Nintendo Mii's? Like there's two
There's
little
two.
Mii's. Like they don't have fingers. They're just. Sometimes they do, depending on the game. I
I'd spend
guess.
way too long like designing those.
You're your avatar on Nintendo Switch is still your me to this day.
I mean, it looks like me.
I don't even know how you did that, to be honest with you.
Neither do I.
Here's a
I knew. That's what it
God-given
was. I
talent.
went back in time.
Yeah, fair. You mentioned time travel, and I guess that's the crux of what we're going to talk about here today. We've been reflecting on the past year now that we've started a new year, 2023. Did I get that one right? 23?
Yes.
Okay. The past couple of episodes we reviewed last year and we looked forward to predict to the future last week. But now we want to kind of hone in on the idea of not just looking back like we've been doing recently, but actually going back and taking action. And I think this manifests in fiction in the time travel stories that we read and watch, particularly the TV and film that has to do with kind of going back to the past and changing the events. I guess the first question I would ask is, why is it so fascinating to see a character or a story that involves going back and attempting to address issues of the past?
I mean, because everyone thinks like, what if, right?
Mm.
Everyone, like, obviously, you ask me like, what would I change? I don't want to like come in here and just drop like a super personal answer.
Mm-hmm.
But like, everyone has that one thing they would go back.
Oh,
to
I
change.
thought you were about to.
Yeah,
do
what's
it.
your super
Yeah,
personal
no,
answer?
We want you to do
I'm
that.
not giving anything.
We can get personal.
No, I'm not. But I'm not getting like that.
Oh, okay. So
Okay.
okay, I get it.
The one time Dan's actually gonna bleep something out of that.
Okay. So, anyways, okay, but go ahead. You said.
But yeah,
everybody
no,
else.
like everyone has that one regret. I mean, that you think about like, oh, if I could go back, I would fix it.
You think
so,
so?
yeah,
You think
it's-
everybody has that one regret?
I think everyone has at least something that you would go back and fix.
Do you not?
I think I have like 172. I don't know how.
It was an
Like,
oddly
have one.
specific number.
I keep a long list of them and I journal. You guys don't journal? I've been journaling ever since Link convinced me to journal on this show.
Does Link journal?
Since the Batman episode. I don't know if he journals or he just like promotes journaling. I like to think I
He's
just
a journal promoter.
yeah.
He's just out on the beach being like, "Hey, do you journal?
Here's some prompts.
You should journal tonight."
Yeah. Start here.
Instead of a club promoter, he's just
Yeah,
like
he's
a
a
journal
journal
promoter.
promoter. Yeah. He's like, check out this journal.
He just
The
cares.
first one's on me. It's like a 7-day journal.
It's,
Get back to
it's
me.
it's ladies' night and guys' night.
I think I have a ton of things of regrets. I don't know if there's like a big one. I'd have to think about it actually, because I hadn't considered it. Gabe, you think there's like that one big?
Yeah.
just yeah. Okay. It's too early to.
Yeah, no, there's no, never mind. I can't say that word. Yeah, it's too early.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know if.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things I wish I can go back and do over.
But if you had one shot,
If I had one
you know
shot,
exactly what it would be.
yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like at least everyone has a like one thing.
For yours, is it like you don't have to say what it is, but is yours like having to do with the person, or has to do with like a decision that you make?
No,
in
it has
life?
to do with like a person,
Is it criminal?
but it's not like
Is it? Would you be legally liable if you were to?
no. Okay, there's no dead bodies anywhere.
Okay.
I
I mean,
feel the need to
I
say
mean, I
that.
feel like there's a lot of dead
Do you
bodies
have
in a
there's
lot
no
of
dead
places.
bodies.
Do you have a big one?
I can't think of one. Is that bad? That's come on, guys.
Woo!
This is
I love The Office.
we're all adults
continue.
here. I can't think if I have a big one. I
Just don't know sometimes.
yeah. I have a lot of smaller ones. No, I don't know. I think I have a lot of small regrets, but like, is there
No,
like
I mean,
one thing? I don't know. Is it a blind spot for me? I don't know. Should I?
No, well, maybe you just.
I think
Maybe I just make all the right decisions.
No,
all the
I
time.
Okay.
I think
well.
what it is a lot of times. I mean, this is a gross generalization, but I think a lot of times a lot of people have that one regret. That one regret being a person. I think you have your person.
For me, it was like the way I handled a situation with a
No?
person.
I don't know. You stared right at me and said, "I have my person," and I'm thinking,
Right.
should I?
Friendship
have-
you lost.
Are you thinking of someone?
Your wife.
Oh, I thought you meant like everyone has that one person they regret, and you have your person. You looked at me, and I was like, I do. I have that one person I regret. I don't.
You know who it is.
I was like, yeah. Do you know something I don't? Could you please tell me off the air?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, you think so? You think it's mostly romantic?
No, mostly, but I think
Mine's not romantic.
for a lot. I mean, a lot of the times that I've talked to
I'm
people,
so intrigued now.
a lot of times that I've talked to people, it has been something like that.
I can see that.
For me, I think it's just a choice. It's a decision that I made, but
And I think even then, even like alluding to that, I think I could relate to that to a certain point. Like you said, like now I'm older and I'm happily married, and it's like, oh yeah, not so much. But I think that too, like I think there probably has been big regret moments, whether it be romantic or career, or maybe something that I did, but then like over time, you kind of figure out how the pieces fall into place.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you're like, you know what? I guess it just was a learning experience. I don't know if I would go back and do anything differently. Which is not a conducive point to make this early in the conversation about time travel, but I went ahead and made it anyways. You mentioned regret. Regret a lot of times I think is that motivating factor for going back and trying to undo the past. What are some examples of that come to mind?
like media examples.
Yeah, like media examples. Since you guys don't want to talk about your personal lives, which I totally
Okay,
respect.
we can get into it, but like I'm not gonna get into
No.
the one I have in mind.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, of course.
But like in media, so like fixing regret.
I think so. Yeah. When we think time travel, what's the first film that comes to mind?
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future. What's the impetus there? Like, why go back? What needs to be
To save
fixed?
Doc.
To save Doc. Yeah, we were talking about this when we were kind of like brainstorming this episode, and you told me to save Doc, and I was like, that's why. But I guess yeah, you're right.
It is.
Yeah, because at the beginning of the film,
He gets shot by terrorists.
that does happen. That's you don't really think about that.
There was a point in time for a while that I try to picture Doc,
and
it's just like just a picture of Rick Sanchez.
Uncle
pops
Fester.
up
Oh, Rick Sanchez. Oh, you mean
from Rick and Morty.
I don't know why that sounded like a Florida politician.
Could be like a baseball player, like a politician.
Rick Scott.
Okay, thank you for explaining that one.
There you go.
All right. Yeah, so from Rick and Morty.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just his face.
What do you mean you don't know why? He's based on him.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's a
but that's the
parody.
thing, like
Parody.
thinking of Doc, like I'm just Rick Sanchez just pops up. Like I can't. I
Getting
couldn't picture
shot down
Doc.
by terrorists.
No, of like just doing every heinous crime he does.
Oh, you think that like Rick has sullied your vision of who Doc is?
Yes.
And now you think that Doc is like a terrible person?
Yeah.
Doc is like salt of the earth.
I swear I gotta watch the movie again. Movies.
It's been a while.
He's the
It's bad.
sweetest man.
Yeah. What else? What other movies?
Endgame.
Ah,
Endgame's a big one.
That's interesting too, because it's
that's a
kind
good
of
one.
it has to do with like going back and righting your wrongs, like where your failure
Mm-hmm.
lies. I like Endgame the way it operates in Endgame because they're not going back to change what happened, but they're going back to the past to take from it to change what happens next. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because it's not like they're just taking things that like only exist at that point in time and then bringing it back to their present. Right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess future.
That's an interesting
Because they come back
take
later,
on-
but they
on
come
time
back-
Travel.
Yeah.
I always thought that was a
It was an interesting take.
interesting take.
Which is funny when you get an interesting take nowadays because it's hard to get an interesting take on anything, I think.
Especially from time travel.
Yeah. I think even when I was growing up and even when you guys were growing up, you'll see something and even if it's been done in the past, you're not as exposed to the stories of the past. You know, you don't have like every movie ever at your disposal. You kind of do now. So you're exposed to a lot more media at a much more rapid pace.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that especially if you're into like film and television, you can go back and experience those movies. It's really hard to break out from the formula because, you grow up watching a lot of the same stuff that generations before you
Mm-hmm.
have. I think history is like that too. You can learn so much more about the history of the world and the events that have taken place and those patterns that emerge. It's almost like if something happens today, like for example, the COVID-19 pandemic just a few years ago, or some kind of like political rhetoric that rises in a campaign. It's like you're inundated with like, oh, this happened here, 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 and there. Like people are constantly writing and bringing up those parallels historically,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of see those patterns emerging in a way that since you're directly connected to media through social media, through news outlets, etc., you can kind of see those patterns more so than you did in the past because you kind of have to figure all that out for yourself.
That's more like a lot of it. I think it's like trends.
Yes,
Trends
absolutely.
in society, more than just like even just like fashion trends, but like political trends, societal trends. I think it's a really good point. I didn't think about it that way.
And that's really interesting what you said, trends, not just fashion. Yeah, well, that's what we used to think as something fashionable. Now there's fashionable everything, right?
Yeah.
Like even ideas are fashionable.
Yeah.
And the way that people present them, and the way that it's like a marketing campaign for every little thing, is to get that idea in someone's head, to get that idea in someone's hands.
Yeah. Nostalgia plays a big role of that too.
Oh,
Because
for sure.
we've talked about nostalgia on the show various times about how like trying to draw back to the toys of the past, the experiences of the past, and those kind of, like you said, trends. Real life operates like that now too. It's like what makes you feel like you did before in
Mhm.
another time in your
Oh
life.
wow.
It just got it.
When you said save Doc, I was thinking when I think of Back to the Future, why do we go back to the future? I go back to like why Doc created a time machine to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys
Why?
think?
Why?
Yeah, why do you think that? Why did we even begin the process of going back in time? What do you think is Doc's motivation in Back to the Future?
What do you think is Doc's motivation?
Okay,
about this
obviously
issue?
you
Yeah.
guys.
No. I have nothing for that. I mean, like, I guess you could say like, oh, was he married? Was Doc married?
No, because he doesn't like meet his wife till the
To
third
the
one.
third,
Yeah.
exactly. So
I think it's just because he could. I think it's just
oh no, Jurassic Park.
This is your reminder to watch Back to the Future this weekend
yeah.
or week, whenever you listen to this. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Mondays at 7 a.m.
Yeah, those
Start
people
your
that
day
are
off
just
right.
they have the countdown clock on and they're like they're waking up, they're getting out of bed and they're like, oh, 2 minutes till it drops.
And then they realize I've had a long day and I fell
He
asleep.
doesn't get time.
I fell asleep on the keyboard.
that only happened once this season. Okay, to your credit. But I think in many ways it's kind of that scientific process of if we can do it, we must. I think hubris has a part to do with it.
Mm.
Like, man must break the process to prove that he can break the process. And I think that's, like we said, I don't think Doc is wrong for doing that because he's a scientist, and that's what a scientist is meant to do. See what the next frontier is. And for us, time is conceptual, right? It's an idea. I don't really know if you can really manipulate it the way that they do in movies.
You never saw In Time, bro? Real.
Is that Justin Timberlake movie
Mhm.
with Amanda Seyfried? Did I get her name right?
Yes.
Apologies to Amanda Seyfried.
Seyfried, seaweed, whatever it is.
Yeah, that was a rough 90 minutes. But
Get it? Because they have that time on their wrists.
Oh, that movie.
yeah. How could you forget?
Oh, and they're like Bonnie and Clyde at the end.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
no.
Spoilers.
Who cares?
Right.
That movie sucks.
I'm sure they both worked hard wherever
That
you are.
was Justin Timberlake, wasn't it?
I love
It
that everything
was.
is just flooding back.
I'm slow today.
Okay. It's a good thing you chose today to come into the
Just
studio.
taking his time.
Okay.
I'm just, hey, no rush. We've got time.
Is there things in our lives? Is there things in our lives that you think we do just because we can do them?
Yeah. Yes. I don't know. It's hard because it's like in that fictional universe, it's like they have that talent. But I mean, in real life, there are professionals, there are people that are so good at what they do that they can like break records, they can push the boundaries, they can find that next big thing. And I guess it's hard to put into perspective, like for like just, you know, normal people that, you know, live their lives and that they're not like, I don't know, necessarily chasing something. It doesn't have to be something grand and extraordinary, but I think it, for me at least, like I'm a student, like I've worked, but like I'm a student currently. And it's like my big thing right now is just to do well in school.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to find a new like self-sustaining crop to feed millions of people in the world.
But it would be nice if you could get on that because
that would be crazy.
Because all the birds are dying.
That's true. I think going back to like the hubris point is I think a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people like do things just because they can, and sometimes, like, how do you classify that? Is that the wrong reason? Is that the right reason?
That's what I think we're here to explore. Like I said, it's Doc's job to do it, but is it something that should be done?
I mean, I think. Well, I mean, at the end of the first movie,
what are you gonna say? Everything works out?
Because it doesn't.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
And I think that the point is like, don't do it. But then he gets his happily ever after in the third one. So do it.
If you can, do it.
Yeah, but a lot can go wrong.
Yeah, but a lot can go wrong.
Obviously, it's like a series of pop culture films. So
I mean,
like, we're not gonna kill Doc at the end and
I mean,
No,
that's
I
like
know.
and like fall into a dystopian future.
no, I mean like that's like going into like the endgame point where like Tony finds a way to time travel, but he is so hesitant to like even acknowledge it or tell people, but he feels an obligation to go back to save the people that got lost.
Because he can.
Because if you can use it for good, it must be wrong not to.
Oof.
Because yeah, and I mean that even that like going back to there's like that quote that Peter Parker says in Civil War.
Yeah.
When he's talking to Tony, and he's like, when you can do the things that I can do, but you don't, and then the bad things happen, they happen because of you. And it's like you have that moral obligation when you have power to protect people, to help people, then you should.
Yeah, and that can be distilled, like you said, in the microcosm of it. It may not be, you know, a self-sustaining crop, but in your classroom, in your workplace, in wherever it is that you find yourself, that inaction that leads to, you know,
Problem.
to problems, right? Especially for others, right? And for ourselves as well.
No, I mean, like, you think of situations where, like, you could have said something, you should have said something, but you didn't, and something happened. And that's something you have to live with, but...
Like in your life, right? With that one person.
Yeah. But...
You want to expand on that?
No, I'm not.
I'm gonna be us trying to get him the whole time.
No, I'm not expanding on that.
For the Patreons. We got to raise the prices and then we'll do it.
Yeah, if I say it, it's going up to $100 a month.
This month only, then we delete it and then
It's gone
regular
forever.
yeah, and then regular prices. Sometimes when we go back and we look at the past, we try to revisit, but sometimes we can get stuck living in the past. And sometimes our lives become this like time loop.
Dormammu have come to bargain.
These are instances, this is an example of something that happens in these types of films and in these stories. How does that relate to us in the real world?
Feel like when these stories are presented to us, like being stuck in a time loop and do over and doing things over again, you kind of get the sense like there's a reason, or like you're trying to figure out what is the reason. Why are you stuck here? Which is kind of like,
because sometimes you get stuck, and as much as you pull out, you can't get loose.
I feel like as many times that like you're in it, you try to, I don't know, like it feels like there's something controlling the reason like why you're going back and forth, like you're going in it.
Like a
Yeah, like a
reason.
supernatural like entity or power or being, whatever, because it's like, why is the world revolving around what I need to do? Like what I need to learn, what I need to figure out, what I need to solve. Which is like going back to hubris and selfish and just being like, I don't know. I feel like that, like, the more I think about it, because back then when I watched those stories, it's just like, oh, this is like a fun adventure. Like, it's a point like to waste time that has a valuable lesson at the end of it. But then the more I think about it, it's like, realistically, even though none of it is realistic, it's like, why, like, what's controlling this? Why is this actually happening?
Yeah.
I know in one of them, there's like, what is it? Live, Die, Repeat.
Live, Die, Repeat. Well, formerly known as The Edge of Tomorrow, based
Formerly
on the
known,
manga.
All you need is
Kill.
So many name changes that they went back in
I
time
think the
and
official
figured
title
out.
now, it made more money as Live, Die, Repeat than it did as Edge of Tomorrow.
Okay.
What is your preferred choice?
I think Live, Die, Repeat is a better. Edge of Tomorrow is generic.
I agree.
All You Need Is Kill, the original title, is also kind of like
it doesn't really
weird.
tell you what the movie's about. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. Sorry, carry on.
No, no, you're here to interject, by the way, and like spruce up, add some life to this conversation. Because without Link here, it's just we're all like getting sad and stuff.
I have to tell a joke.
Yeah, you do. Think of one. All right. Anyways, continue, Gabe.
Get back to me.
That's the joke?
No.
Oh.
Like, get back to me.
I think it also, like, Live, Die, Repeat. There was also that trend in like t-shirts that said like what was it, like Gym 10 Laundry from Jersey Shore,
yeah.
or was it
Suplex Repeat?
Yeah, it was like something repeat. There's like a trend.
It's like Wake, Eat, Suplex Repeat.
Yeah. And so in that movie there's like a reason.
Live Free or Die Hard.
There's like a reason, like
that's
science,
not one of them.
The science behind it. Like there's like an explosion or something, and like there's like a time component where that there's like a in their word scientific reason why that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like in that aspect, I get why that makes sense. But like I don't even remember Groundhog Day. Remember Groundhog Day?
I mean, I think that's my favorite example of it.
Oh,
You never get a reason as to why.
I kind of like that.
But it's perfect. I don't think there needs to be a reason.
So as a young person, that always frustrated me.
Why?
Because I don't know, like I just always felt like I needed answers to something for it to be explained. As I get older, like what is it, like Inception? I love that movie. Pissed me off. I didn't know if it was real, like if it actually like at that point in time, because I know Christopher Nolan likes to like leave it up into interpretation.
Yeah.
I hate that crap. I hated that crap. When I got older, I was like, oh, I can see the beauty in this. I can see like the artistic choice and how, like, I don't know, maybe like that's the thing. My perspective changed.
Yeah.
And I was able to appreciate that more. But yeah, Groundhog Day, that's another one. I was just always like,
I mean, I think my favorite thing about Groundhog Day is it's kind of like you never actually know what he had to do.
Mm-hmm.
There was no specific
Yeah,
thing.
even after the solution,
Yeah,
right?
even after he doesn't even really know why. But after he lived that day to its fullest, he was free.
Oh, that was beautiful. We should just wrap up.
That was
there,
deep.
but we still got a little bit to talk about.
what was another? Technically, well, Tenet's like that, right?
Tenet is like that. Yeah. Well, because Tenet is different in the sense that, if I'm not mistaken, it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes.
Yes.
An everlasting loop of time.
An everlasting gobstopper.
Because like by the end of it, you realize that you're really only beginning,
The end is only the beginning.
and it's like
and there's one much bigger
blowing
loop
my mind thinking
going
about it.
around a much bigger loop. That movie's kind of full of it.
I'm so. Oh, that's right. You didn't like Tenet.
I gave it a 7. Okay.
Yeah,
It's
that's
bad.
not like it. See, I know that was okay for you.
Yeah,
No,
not
I
even
don't-
like
I
not
don't
even like
go-
a 7.25,
I don't go-
7.36.
Don't.
I know
It's
you
just
always.
I don't go by the American school system when I'm grading a movie.
Okay, so
A
by
7 is not a C.
7 is a C. It's literally smack right there in the average.
No,
Okay.
I will not elaborate.
What do you think real life is like? Do you think real life is more like we have an explanation, or real life is like up to interpretation?
I think it's interpretation, but some people might interpret it as we have an answer.
Well, I mean, but I agree though, because you don't really know, but you know, like I think you all probably have your ending to Groundhog Day, right? Like I mean, you all have your explanation, so to speak. I guess you could make your assumptions about it, but more like Inception, where like you know if it's real or not, right? Deep down in your heart, is it real or not?
It's real to me.
It's still real to you.
Is it not real to you?
It is real to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, it's real to you, right?
I haven't watched Inception in a long time.
No,
so-
he gave it a
Yeah,
C.
sorry.
He gave it a 7.
I give it a 7.
What's a C to you out of 10?
I don't know. Don't put me on the
A
spot.
5? A 5 is a C to you?
Yeah,
That makes sense.
right down the middle.
Didn't even right. No, that's
5.
that's half of it is bad. How could that possibly
No,
be
but you're
right down
going
the
by
middle?
the fact that 1 to 50% is bad.
No. I'm going by the fact that
No.
listen.
I don't want to talk about.
No, no.
We've
Forget
spent
about
airtime on this.
Forget about the American school system. Let's lay that aside, right? 10 units, right? A score of 1 to 10, right? If I eat a burrito and half of it is bad, that burrito is bad. That burrito is not okay. Like, oh, so delicious. Oh, this part made me sick. That burrito is bad. It's not.
But there's still
kind of
things
bad
to
burrito.
enjoy. It's a 5.
It was like, oh, the tomatoes were good. I got sick and had to call out the next day.
I don't think a 5 burrito is giving you that level of sickness.
A 5 burrito is half bad.
Yeah, but when you say bad, is it like? I don't want to talk about this. Leave me alone. Okay. I think 1 to 5 does not necessarily mean F from that.
So what you're saying
entire-
is you're willing to settle for less. That's what you're saying.
Dang, man. What do you mean?
Your burritos suck.
Maybe I had a crappy burrito.
Okay.
And maybe I liked it. Okay? Maybe I like the crappy
Justice
burrito.
for Danny's crappy burrito.
Maybe I like the rice. But the tortilla is not as good.
Is it flour or corn?
For a burrito?
Yeah.
It's gotta be flour.
You have a corn tortilla.
Yeah, they don't
They
make
have
one.
them.
that?
They do. Yeah.
Where? Did you lie? Did you just lie to me?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Why?
I'm sure somewhere there is a corn burrito tortilla.
It doesn't have the strength.
No, it falls apart. But someone did it,
It
though.
doesn't have the strength.
Because they could.
So they did.
Oh.
Now, time travel is not something we can actually do, right? Although I had a friend once sit me down and explain to me that if we created a helmet that combined the right crystals together, we could use that to connect with the frequency of time and swim up it like a river in order to return to a past point. There might be some truth to that.
I'm
What?
sorry.
Well, it's simple. The crystals
It's
align.
simple?
It's physics.
Yeah, the crystals align.
This is a friend?
And this is a friend.
Have you
It's a
visited
really good
him
friend.
in the mental institution?
Is your
lately?
friend Christopher Nolan?
You know what? There's a lot of brilliant people in mental institutions all around the country.
You're right. That was me.
That was very insensitive of you. Just like another person who hides their face when they're on the show.
Who does
I mean,
that?
not our show.
Wait, yeah, wait.
Oh,
we deleted that episode.
I have no idea. Okay.
We were talking about time travel. We're talking about getting stuck in the past, that time loop, repeating. Do you think there's ever been a moment in your life where you were stuck in the past or living in a time loop, so to speak?
Oh man, school can get monotonous.
Oh, monotony's a big one.
Yeah.
I think
Where
a lot
you-
of people suffer from that.
Yeah, you feel stuck because you're in that routine of just like get up, work, school, go to sleep, and that's it.
Yeah.
And
I
it
think-
sucks.
I think it also it also is how you frame it, how you see it too. Because there's something, well, for me personally, there's something like great
Oh, we're getting personal. now.
about about
Listen,
that type of
The
monotony.
monotony?
Listen
Yeah.
to the personal.
Well, I
And-
mean, it's like the grind, right? It's like why you go to the gym.
Yeah, it's like
you hit
it's
it
just
the
that
same
that
way.
structure, and you go day in and day out, and you put in work.
You're making me want to get up and go to the gym now.
Let's put in the
maybe
work.
you should.
All right. I think we got time.
I think so. No. There's there's just times where it's like I feel like not necessarily like a loop, but I feel like I'm everywhere, and me being everywhere does not contribute to me doing anything. There's sometimes I mean that's not the same case for everybody. I feel like sometimes in like the way that you look at it, the way that you shape it, it's like how you look at a certain situation, how you look at where you are in life, and if you are like in this cycle, it's not necessarily mean that it has to be bad.
I mean, because at the end of the cycle, there's that thing you've been working.
I mean, you always want to
right?
you always want something like to look forward to for sure, but when you're in it, I think it's something special to like be aware, like not just go on autopilot mode. Because when you're going on autopilot mode, it's like you're not really living. You're just kind of existing and doing the same thing over and over again. But it's like if you're conscious and intentional about everything that you're doing every day, it's like I don't know. There's just for me, there's meaning in a lot of that
How
stuff.
do you spice up the day to day? Or not spice up. How do you
Spice
make
up sounds.
How do you make the day to day meaningful?
I try to think of a appropriate word to follow that comment up with,
And there was none.
one. Yeah, couldn't come up. Yeah.
But yeah, and that's the thing. But at the same time too, it's like by that same token, it's like you see the other side. It can get boring. Like sometimes you do need something that lifts you up a bit, because you, depending on like your state of mind, you could be down, you could be sad, and going through the same things might not be helpful. For some people it might, for some people it won't be.
Routine is important, but not falling into routine is also important.
Yeah.
Yeah, breaking cycles in order to renew them. And it's interesting to hear you, especially that comment about not trying to be everywhere. From you in your 20s. I wish I would have known that at your age. I think that's a lesson that took me a really long time to learn, because I think when you're young, you want to do everything. You want to be everywhere. And you feel like either it's your responsibility or it's your responsibility to yourself. Like, I need to, take the bull by the horns. And
Oh yeah.
wasted time is, there's, especially we have that like grind and hustle culture.
Yeah.
Where it's like you can do your best like 9 hours of work, and when you're out you keep working for yourself. But you're also living a very sociable life, but you're also have an impeccable home, but you're also traveling, but you're also a great friend and a great son or daughter, a mother and father. Like somehow you're the super everything at the same time. And it's not sustainable.
No, and that's the thing. It's because it's like we have all this like these ideas that, like you're saying, like in your 20s you want to be everywhere doing everything, and I had that. But the thing at the same time, what I've learned is like that caused me major anxiety. Like it was just like major FOMO from seeing like I was doing it. I've traveled a lot. I've seen a lot. I've met a lot of people. Done a lot of things, and it's somehow like when I was in that mindset, it was still like I haven't done anything.
Yeah.
I haven't done enough. There's always going to be something that it's like, I got to do this. And like, especially with, like people my age being on social media and stuff like that. It's like, it's not really like some people do it intentionally. Other people, like they're just living their lives, but you have such instant connection to seeing like, you're so, like such a personal window into other people's lives. It's just like, you're kind of like people say, living vicariously through someone else. You're living vicariously through thousands of different people.
And it's a skewed window too, because you're also seeing the fun and exciting,
the best parts of it.
Yeah. So you're like, oh man, my life every day should be like this episode of a show where I'm doing this and this and this and that, but you're only seeing the exciting
and when it's not, like, am I a failure? Am I like missing out? Am like, you just get FOMO and it's,
I thought you were asking. I'm sorry.
No. Am I?
But that's the voice I hear back always. Yeah. Like, there's no like, no, you're doing good. No. Like, am I a failure? Yes. Like, that's the first thought that comes to mind.
And that's the thing. I think a lot of it is just no one, like, you have your friends, you have your close people, like, you have, like, your talks and you can, like, share this stuff with. But I feel like a lot of the times you got to pull yourself out of that. And I know, like, a lot of, like, it could be hard, but a lot of it, I think, is mindset and how you frame it. Because not everyone's going to know how you're feeling.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And I think, like, obviously communicating, speaking up, but also being real with yourself.
Yeah. And I think there's levels to it too. Cause it's like, for example, me who's married, I think my wife is that first person, but even to get to that first step, I need to be willing to talk about it.
Exactly.
And there is definitely a period. And sometimes it's not a short one where like I have to come to terms with it before I can even verbalize it out loud, because a part of you is just like, if I don't talk about it, it's not real, you know? And then even more so, like you said, you have your friends and your family that you're close to. That FOMO is so ever present today, because I think it's been weaponized. I think people use it. I think companies use it to market. I think
It's become fashionable.
Yeah.
And they throw it at you. And because it's like, now it's like, you need this product to do this. You need this experience to do this. And it's just like a marketing ploy.
Yeah, I feel that all the time, by the way. When I think of a problem, I immediately think of the product that's going to solve the problem. I was like,
how, okay, I have an issue. Oh, I'm going to go on Amazon. Let me fix my issue.
absolutely. Like, I'll give you an example. I was playing Jackbox Party Pack the other day, right? And I was drawing on my phone, and I was like, this would be so much easier with a stylus. I let like 2 days sleep on it, and I ordered a stylus. and I was like, because I'm going to play it again. And that stylus is going to help me out. It's only $3.
And that's like a pretty innocent example.
Yeah.
Like, people spend hundreds because they think it'll fix their lives.
Mm-hmm. But even then, so like
hundreds,
yeah,
thousands,
yeah. Oh, in the pandemic, I was like, I need a better sound system, and I need lights that sync with my.
That was me, man. During the
TV.
pandemic, I was like, I want a new TV, I want a new monitor. So I just started like going on Facebook Marketplace and started flipping stuff, and like, I didn't do any of that stuff. And like I furnished like a brand new like entertainment system.
You still have that video capture card that we're gonna use?
No, I never bought that.
Oh, you never did buy
That
it?
wasn't-
Okay,
Oh,
okay,
stay
good.
strong.
But there's also that. There's the
I bought everything else though.
But you buy solutions for future problems too. You're like, I'm not even doing that, but let me get this now
Just so convinced
because
like,
I'm gonna get it.
yeah, you convince yourself that you need it, and
Yeah.
in reality, you really don't.
Like, and someone's probably who's listening to the show is gonna get angry just hearing about the story. But it's like, I bought like the the NES, like the micro mini console, because I bought the SNES one and I hacked it, and it was the first system I hacked for myself. I mean, just to play with it. Then I put it right back to manufacturer state, and I did not download any ROMs on it. It's just exactly how Nintendo sent it to me the first time. So then I got the NES one, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do it again, but I didn't care enough to do it again. And I think it's been like 3 years or more even, and it's just a box sitting in my closet. Sure, it was $40, but $40 is $40. And like you said, people do it with thousands of dollars. People do it with hundreds of dollars, and that's important too. But those little micro transactions, they're not just a thing in a video game. They're things in our regular lives. Like,
Yeah.
that's
they
part of
add up.
like they add up, and they don't just add up in like the money going out of your bank account. They also add up in like the little pieces of you that stay with the things that you own. It's like the quote in Fight Club, right? Sometimes the things you own end up owning you. And everything that we buy, it's like we put a piece of ourselves into that thing. And the more stuff that's just stacked up in the corner, it's like the more of us that's just stacked up in the corner. And I was going on a social media fast for this month, and I don't have a ton of social media. So for me, it was mostly like Reddit. I deactivated my Twitter permanently because of Elon Musk, because I kept getting DM notifications, and I got getting excited. And when you press the badge, there's nothing there. Fix Twitter, all right? Please hire someone to work at Twitter. But regardless, I thought, I don't really have social media because that's the only thing I have, and I barely ever use Twitter. I'm just read on Reddit. I find myself physically bored in times of the day because it was so second nature to me. Yeah, that I'm reading more. I used to think I didn't have time to read. I'm reading more. Not because, oh, look at me, I'm reading. I literally don't have anything else to do. Like I have like certain things that I need to read at a certain pace. I'm blowing past them because it's like, what else am I supposed to be doing? And you don't realize how much of that my screen time went down dramatically.
No. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, because there's be times where it's like, I feel like, oh, I really need to focus sometimes. And I'll just delete Instagram because Instagram's so, like you said, second nature. Like my reflexes to like, when I know where it is and just like, to open my phone, like I'll just open it and then obviously unlock and then know exactly where it is, click.
The
and
fact
just
that
scroll.
you're like, it's instantaneous, and then you like struggled with it right now.
It's friggin' mic. No, but like going to it is so second nature that when I delete it and it's not there, and I'm like, I catch myself so often muscle memory, just going straight to it, and then be
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
oh, it's
Yep.
not here. What am I doing? Put my phone down.
Yeah, because for me, I don't know why. This is a weird thing. Cause I don't actually go to the icon. I scroll down and type in RE
Mm-hmm.
to pull it up. I must do that 8 times a day. Every day this month. I just type in RE and nothing comes up. And I'm like, except red circle. So I pour
Just look
over
at our stats.
I pour over our stats. Yeah. Like at least once a day because I was like, I'm gonna click the first thing that comes when I press RE on it. And the ironic part is I was like, I don't have anything to do. I started pulling up our Instagram for the show, Instagram, our TikTok for the show. And then like I got kind of in a like I was doing it for a little bit. And I was like, oh, this is what it feels like.
Yeah.
And I was like, nope, putting all this stuff away.
Yeah, it's a
because-
dangerous hole.
Yeah, it's crazy how easy it is to fall into these holes, these traps, get stuck in these time loops,
Mm.
right? To be in
And-
one place,
In the feeds.
yeah, and just 6 hours later, you're still in that same place. It's harrowing.
It messes with your head.
I thought you were gonna follow up with.
No, I was going to, but
Yeah. Go ahead.
it just
what?
does. No,
It
That
messes
was
with
your
your head.
follow-up.
It messes with your
it
head.
just messes with
Excuse
your
me, I'm gonna follow
head. Like,
up. It does.
I mean, do you get depression, anxiety just from sitting
Yeah.
there, being on your phone?
And that's the thing that it's those kind of things, and we talk about this a lot, but it's like, how do you not talk about it? Anxiety, depression, they're at an all-time high. And I think it's part of it is that there's an awareness. So we know how to like label it and identify it. But also there's mechanisms that are like predatory to make sure that you're at an all-time high, because the more uncomfortable and the more dissatisfied you are, the more likely you are to engage and consume.
Even like with our phones, I know that there was a man, I'm trying to remember who actually did it. There was a friend of ours that was showing us that if you change the color scheme on your, like most people have iPhones, or a lot of people have iPhones.
Yeah, not most.
not most,
I
not
don't know
most,
what those statistics are.
not most. A lot of people have iPhones, and I'm sure you can do this on Androids and other types of phones. But if you change the color scheme of the phone to like monochromatic, like just have it black and white, people like after a while, people get so disinterested in going to their phones because the colors, like the vibrancy of the colors and how they're all situated, have like this addictive quality that makes you want to go to it each and every time. And so like I tried doing it for like a week and I was like, whoa, like it's terrible. Like I hate looking at my phone when it was on. But
How do I do that?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
I think it's like in settings and you have to go to I don't know if it's
We're gonna workshop it
Accessibility?
right here on air. This
I'm
is
pretty
happening.
sure it's accessibility.
Accessibility.
you're really gonna hate looking at your phone though.
Oh, that's what I want.
That's what I want. Yeah.
You're doing me a
Um,
favor.
Where is it? Danny, tell your joke.
Come on, man. We queued you up. You've had like 30 minutes.
Dude, I wasn't thinking about it. If I could go back in time, I would.
You would have prepared some
Yeah, I would-
material.
create a joke.
You'd realize that you were sitting in Link's chair for this episode.
The pressure's on when you're sitting here.
Yeah, it is. Well, he's basically he's what I like to call the heart and soul of the show.
I agree.
Yeah. You're the hands and feet, Dan?
I thought Dan was the brain.
I don't know. That might be a bit much.
Yeah, because then you're giving me too much credit.
Yeah, I
don't
like
come
to
up with
think
that.
I'm the brain. Is that too?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that too conceited? Is that like?
Yeah,
Can-
yeah,
are-
that's way too.
Can we
Okay.
be two halves? Of
Is
the
it?
brain?
Are you offended if you're the brawn,
No,
Gabe? Like if
I'm,
you're the
I'm the
muscle?
Crocs.
George? Are we two halves of the brain?
All right.
I'll take that.
Okay, how about this? Is it conceited if me being the brain
He's
is
ignoring
like?
me. He's ignored my request to be two sides of the brain.
Okay, which side? It depends which side, left or right.
You're the analytical side. I'm the creative side.
Okay, our guest here is just waving that that's not a real thing anymore.
Is that not a real thing?
No, but it works on a metaphorical
But-
aspect. Okay.
okay.
People understand what we're talking about.
Yes, come
okay?
on.
You
So
got to
fru-
look
so
to the past.
frustrated.
You've
Jeez,
got to
I'm
look to
sorry.
the ideas of the past in order to understand our present. Okay, so I think you'd be the left brain. I'd be the right brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But also, is it still conceited if I say I'm like in The Princess Bride? I'm Vizzini. I'm like that's the brain, and then like he's Fezzik, so he's like Andre the Giant, and then you're Inigo Montoya. Wait, yeah, the hands and feet.
No,
yeah.
I want to be Inigo Montoya.
I'm sorry.
It doesn't apply. I just want to be Inigo Montoya.
And then Link, I don't know what Link is. Oh, if he's the heart and soul, then I guess he's Wesley. That doesn't fit. You know, we're gonna have to abandon the whole thing. That
But
wasn't enough
anyways,
time for you to figure out how to put your screen black and white.
Oh, you found it.
There you go.
Oh my god, I hate looking at this thing.
That's so good.
PTSD.
It's probably
So what
so
do you
much
go?
easier
All
on
right,
your
so you
eyes.
go to accessibility,
All right, accessibility. We're
and
here.
then you're gonna go to. Did I lose it?
You just did it.
I have it.
Oh, okay.
Go to accessibility and go to display and text size.
Display and text size.
There's a group
We're doing
of
this
together.
slowly so that you guys at home take on this challenge.
I'm lost.
Put your phone in black and white.
Oh, display.
You're the one who said accessibility. Why are you
You're
lost?
right. You're right. Color filters, right?
And then
Crazy. Then you go down to color filters.
color
And turn
filters.
it on.
Grayscale.
And
Boom.
then turn on.
I challenge you
You can even put
to
different.
do
ones.
it for a week.
Oh my goodness.
I'm
Try
gonna-
to
I'm
really
gonna do it
green
for
filter
1
one.
week.
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna do
do
it
it
for
for
1
a
week.
Crazy.
We'll report back in 1 week.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this. This is
I mean, you've done this before, so
This
you're
is
excused. But
terrible.
we're gonna do it. How long did you do it for?
like 3 weeks. I couldn't stand my phone. I
George.
couldn't do it. I was
Yeah.
like tortured.
George.
I couldn't.
Let's
Yeah.
make a bet.
Okay. Who's the
Whoever-
first one to turn
Yeah.
the color on?
Yep.
So beyond a week. You mean like who's the first one to crack?
Aren't you gonna need like that
Yeah.
for school or something?
He'll get on his iPad or
I
whatever.
have my computer.
Yeah. It's not like you must
know-
now live in Pleasantville.
You want to know
the
what's
movie
funny?
where Tobey Maguire
I take
had never made love to anyone.
I take all this art, I put color, and I still have to put it in black and white because you have to focus certain areas using whites and blacks. So it doesn't matter.
There's
to
a
me.
lesson in that somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a deeper thing that maybe Link would have caught, but is he the deep thinker on the show?
He's the
Maybe.
deep something.
Some-
Okay, bet.
All right, shake
But
on.
I didn't mean to like bet. Like
we go through the screens.
Oh. You have such a little arm.
You're like Ryan Reynolds when he gets cut.
Our listeners have no idea what's going on. I just extended my hand.
Okay, if you're
across
listening,
both.
maybe just for this episode, go to YouTube
And like and subscribe while you're at it
and
there.
stay there.
Also, for all our viewers on YouTube, we know you're viewing. Can you please follow? Can you follow the channel?
Guys,
Okay.
come on, please.
Help us out.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
You guys search the show every week.
Right? How do they go?
I don't want to say I'm angry. I'll use the word annoyed.
They search for the channel
Yeah.
each and every week.
Like, oh,
They're literally searching for McGuffin on YouTube every week.
Damn, I don't know. How did we not see that one? Thank you for that.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe you're the brains.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
Sometimes when we go back and we look at the past, we lose sight of our present or even our future. I know you guys are big fans of this comedy film. Everything just reminds me of Link. About Time.
Oh, you miss him.
Is that the name of the movie?
About Time.
I love About Time.
That movie's so good. And that's the thing. I heard about this movie. I hadn't seen it come.
Mhm.
Like I watched it way after it came out, and like I always heard about it, and I never watched it. Then one time I just sat down and watched it, and
You want to give a little background for anyone who?
I have a great
watching at home.
experience with this movie.
Go ahead.
Because I took a nice bath, and then I didn't put any clothes on. I put just a robe
in the bath? I'd hope not.
No, yeah, no. I got out of the. I have to
okay.
give every step apparently.
Yeah, well,
I took one step out of
Sometimes
the
stories
bath,
need
and
steps.
then I took my left foot and took that out of the bath.
Now we have a plot.
And then I took my right arm. Okay, I put on a robe. I made some nice dinner, and I just watched About Time by myself, and
The
I
plot
cried
thickens.
hard.
hard.
Cry hard.
I don't know
Cry
why
harder.
it struck a nerve, but the movie struck a nerve. I
Live
love
free,
that movie.
Live free or cry hard.
Do you want to give a little rundown of the movie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got it.
No, you got it.
No, you got it.
You got it.
No, you got it.
You want to bet?
What do we
Oh,
betting?
build it together. Build it up together.
Yeah, we can do it together.
Okay, start it off because I completely forgot. Is Margot Robbie at the beginning?
Yeah,
Margot
right?
Robbie.
He's dating her and they break up.
No, he's just a friend that he likes her.
Okay, maybe the movie sucked. maybe I hated the movie. I just remember that
Margot Robbie's in this movie.
he
Yeah.
meets
Yeah.
Christine, Rachel McAdams.
You don't have to give us a synopsis.
Did you
This
give
is
her
why-
name in Doctor Strange?
Yeah, this is why.
Okay, according to our guest, she was driving and was decapitated.
What I got from that
Are
was
you thinking we're talking about the time traveler's wife?
what are you talking about?
Okay, what I meant was give a rundown of the film. It
Ghost?
wasn't like
Pottery?
Oh, that was. I don't know the word to say
No,
there.
what?
What I meant was not just give a rundown of like what happened, obviously, but like what's this movie about? What is it like? What are some of the themes and ideas behind it?
He apparently has.
He read that, by the way. I saw him. I have to
No, I tried reading the synopsis. It was way too long.
They saw it too. 'Cause
I'm
he's on
gonna
camera.
know. I'm gonna say like from what I remember, from what I like know about the ability.
Yeah.
Is that it's like an ability that like runs in his family,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
his like,
only the men.
in his
Oh,
family
yeah,
had,
only the men.
and that he can go.
Men.
He goes into a room, right?
I think he just needs
No,
privacy.
yeah, he
but
just needs to be
chooses-
alone.
Yeah,
Like,
he's alone, and then he goes back, and then I think he has a moment where he like Rachel McAdams' character, and he misses it. Like he doesn't make
Right.
a choice, and he misses opportunity basically with Rachel McAdams.
Right.
And that's something I think he obviously carries and regrets. And then he finds out about this ability. I think on a specific birthday, his dad tells him
Because
about
he's
it.
a wizard, right?
Basically, that's basically what
Like
it is.
Ron Weasley's older brother.
Yeah, it's Ron's older
Hmm.
brother.
And so basically he goes back and he takes his chance with Rachel McAdams' character. And then they have a whole
I
life
love that we refer to her as Rachel McAdams' character repeatedly.
completely forgot her name.
Yeah.
Maybe I just gotta watch the movie again.
I think I need to.
Maybe I gotta do Danny's experience of
Wearing
going
clothes
going to the bath with fully clothed,
and then removing
going
them.
out and then removing it, putting a robe on, and then making a nice dinner and watching this movie.
That's another challenge for our listeners and viewers.
Treat yourself.
Yeah, go into the bath fully clothed, remove your clothes once you're out of the bath, put on a robe and
And
watch.
if you're in a standing shower, close the door real tight and let the water fill up around you like a tank.
and try to travel to the past. You might also have the ability. Continue.
So basically he has this ability and he goes back, but there's one time that he changes, he goes back and he changes things, and then it affects him and his family.
Mm-hmm.
I think like he has a different kid.
Yeah. He has a kid. and then
Spoilers.
He
coming
goes.
up.
Yeah, spoilers. He has a kid, and then he has to go back before the kid. But then when he goes back to the future, he accidentally changes the kid.
Like he has a daughter. at
Yeah,
that
he has a
point.
daughter instead of a son.
I probably shouldn't be telling you this, huh? You haven't
Yeah.
seen it.
You haven't
No,
seen it?
What? I've seen it like twice.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
then give your rundown
No,
of the
I don't
movie.
remember anything.
No, but
I
remembers the
love this
movie.
movie. It was just so impactful. But
I remember all the exact things that you're saying.
Nah, because that's the thing. Like, sometimes I think I can't recall certain things. Like Interstellar, we were talking about it before, and like, oh, what happens? Like, why does this happen? And that's one of my favorite movies ever. I couldn't remember
I don't know.
specifics.
Yeah, we were like fact checking. But let me ask you a question. Why does this movie come up in your conversations? Like about time, out of all the time travel movies, what makes this movie unique?
I think it's just the dynamic of him and his father, him and the relationship to his wife, and the choices that he makes. Because there's a choice that he has to make where it's like, spoilers, his father's dying,
Yeah.
and he has to choose between going back again or letting like
His
life
yeah.
happen, like life play out as it's
Mhm.
supposed to. And he has a really profound conversation with his father, where his father's like, "This is how it's supposed to be." And
That's
it's like
the
you
part
gotta
where I
live your
bowled.
you gotta live your life and do your thing. And because like he knows the consequences of what happened already
Yeah.
by changing something so fundamental in his life, something so big in his life, where it's like he knows the consequences. And his dad, like the love of a father was like more than just like self-preserving. It was like, I've lived my life, I've had my time, like you do what you got to do and be happy. And there's other things like about that, like his relationship with Rachel McAdams' character that
Shout out Rachel McAdams.
that I think are just different. Like you don't really see it that often, especially like you see these, rom-coms and they're very
That's what
cut and
I
dry,
was
and it's
gonna say.
very-
The
but,
genre.
like, and you throw in time travel into the mix, and it's a very like different,
It's
like,
unexpected.
approach. Yeah, and it was just, I think it was a very like fresh take, and I really enjoyed it.
I mean, at a certain point, it's almost less about his romantic relationship and more about him and his father.
Yes.
And that's the part that caught me off guard. I'm
Mm.
like, oh, let's see all the silly ways he gets stuck trying to get her to fall in love with him. And then it just becomes into this really deep, great story about a father and a son.
Yeah.
And Margot Robbie's in it.
And that's always
why,
a huge plus.
That's why it's
She's
good.
just playing tennis.
I didn't even know that was true.
She's the friend that plays tennis at the beginning.
Oh yeah,
Or the
yeah, for
assistant?
sure.
No.
Speaking of about time, usually our producer's on the other side of the screen, and usually he remembers to turn on the clock. I'm just gonna go ahead and. Does anyone have any idea how long we've been going yet? Or
No.
all right, so we'll just keep burying on.
No.
Barreling on? What is burying on? Barreling on.
I think it's appropriate. An episode about time, and we have no idea.
We have no idea what the time is.
Time.
We've just lost complete
Nah,
sense of
let's
time.
keep going.
What about rewriting history? What are some of the ways that idea of rewriting history manifests itself in the real world, or even in our own lives?
I think going back, and that goes back to like going back in time and changing things, and you don't know what the effects are going to be if you like change even one person's life, and how the outcome of that changes the course of 6 other people's lives, and then it just snowballs from there.
Like the great time travel film, Ashton Kutcher's The Butterfly Effect.
Exactly, or Hot Tub Time Machine. That's just
Yeah, classics of
it's,
Hot Tub Time Machine 2.
and that's what I thought was interesting about
No sells it.
That's what I was interesting about Endgame, like their interpretation of how like this timeline isn't gonna affect this timeline.
Yeah,
And then like
the branching time.
a lot of it doesn't make any sense, but it was different. And I
Way to
think
bury Endgame.
sometimes it needs to be buried.
Okay.
But yeah, like the changing the. I remember there was one time. I don't know why I said this. I think it was like in 7th grade. Like they were like, "Oh, if you could go back in time and like meet any like historical figure, who would you go to?" And I straight up put Hitler.
That's not where I thought this was going.
Yeah, it's not where anyone thought that was going.
Was that your like edgy answer, or did you actually have a good reason why?
No, I just when I was a kid, I don't know why. I just
Dan is dying.
that's what it was.
Our listeners can't hear because he respects himself so much
Silent laughing.
that he silently laughs so he doesn't have to edit it out.
He was,
If
he
you're
was
li-
thinking of the
yeah.
clothes he was gonna wear as he goes into the bath tonight.
If you're listening, you just have to watch.
No, it was more of like a. I really wasn't violent, so I wasn't like murder Hitler before like that whole thing happened.
Oh, okay.
It was more of like a talk to him and convince him not to do what he did.
You thought like the 7th
Seventh grade old me looking like I was a chunky little kid with long hair, looked like Dora the Explorer.
Not even
was
Diego?
gonna convince him. No, because I look like Dora.
Oh, okay. And you were gonna be like, I don't know. I was gonna do a voice for reasons.
Or
that escaped me.
maybe I did. Maybe my plan was to take him out. I don't remember now. I thought it was to talk to him.
Well,
But
there's like that traditional like, oh, like 3 people in history, and it's like Jesus, Hitler, and then the third one's like a wild card.
that's just like, who do you think? Who would be a third?
Who would be my third?
Yeah.
I think it would be Franz Ferdinand.
That is a wild card. Why? Well, if he doesn't die, wait, like the band or like?
No, the entire band is just sitting in one seat. Franz Ferdinand, they're all stacked up on top of each other, like lap to lap. I mean, not lap to lap, one lap and then on top of the other lap. Yeah.
What were we talking about? Oh, rewriting history. Yeah, that was one thing I thought of as a little kid. Like, if I could go back, I would just do that and prevent the Holocaust. But yeah, what was your question?
That's a hard transition.
What was your question?
I don't even know after that, man. I can't believe you went there.
Someone had to.
Yeah, like that's questionable.
Someone did actually.
So, no, they went a lot further than that. Rewriting history. How does that manifest in our real life?
I think we move on from now on.
No, I got an answer.
All right, go ahead. Don't say the H word.
No, we talked about. Dan's not gonna edit it out because Dan, for the life of him.
Can we not say that?
No, we can say it.
Oh,
But Dan might not think we can say it, but
What?
it doesn't matter.
Say what?
say it.
Say what?
No. Anyways, my answer about rewriting history is you asked me earlier, like, oh, the big regret of your life, and I just couldn't for the life of me think about it. And I think that part of that answer is that we kind of rewrite our own story in a sense where, wow, I cannot focus
I'm
with
sorry.
Dan.
I'm sorry.
Keep it together, man.
This just got me off guard.
I think sometimes we look back at our lives and we kind of rewrite our own narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes for it to make sense to us sometimes so that we can live with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot continue on with. This is why Dan has to stay behind a computer. He cannot be in this
He
room.
can do this off screen.
This
Yeah.
just got me. Okay, I'm over it.
Anyways, a short version of my answer is that you look back at a moment and you don't always remember the moment the same way everybody else does, but you have to be at peace with your version of the narrative. Because going back to Tenet and the protagonist, which is the main character, the unnamed character that the script and the credits identify as a protagonist, we kind of always see ourselves in that position.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that we... This is unbelievable.
You okay?
I'm sorry.
I don't even know what he's laughing at this point.
It's still the same thing. I can't get over it. It just got me.
Anyways.
The protagonist.
The protagonist.
We're talking about Tenet?
We are actually talking about that.
I had no idea.
But I'm talking about just in real life.
Mm-hmm.
We see ourselves as a protagonist, and sometimes there's vanity in that. Sometimes it's just because like we think something happens and we think we're the motivating factor. That you talked about, why is everything up to me in these films? And sometimes we feel like that, like I made that happen. But I also think it's because the protagonist perspective is the only one that we have. We're not in everybody else's story. We can only observe from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So we live life in the first person. And it's the only way for us to frame our narrative. So on one hand, sometimes we're overlooking the contributions of others or whatever their perspective is. Hopefully, if you're like a self-aware, attuned person, you're aware of those, blind spots. You're aware of those differences. But at the end of the day, you only wake up and go to sleep with your mind. And that's the only perspective you have. You can shape it and influence, but you rewrite the moments that you are in day to day with your memory and your perspective. And it's not the same as everybody else and how they're interpreting the moments that you're sharing together.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting how you talk about, you framing yourself as the protagonist, because I feel like that's another thing that's become like trendy or like fashionable is this trend of people saying like I'm the main character.
Yeah.
Or main character vibes, where it's like you're associating that and you're putting it on other people, and you're literally telling other people you're not a main character. You don't have main character.
Yeah, they're here to support me.
Exactly. You're a supporting character, and I'm like, that's so like what? Like if you think about it, everybody except you is a supporting character in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't know, like I understand like where it came from, but I feel like as many things that go, the internet just kind of takes it and just like corrupts it and just makes it into something I do not like.
Oh, does the internet do that?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But you said something that I wanted to expand on. Oh, memory. Memory isn't always as fond as you remember, as you think it was.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the times when we go back and we recollect certain memories that we had, we try to paint them. Not try. Sometimes, like, we think of fond memories and think of them as being better than what they actually were.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start getting the accounts of other people that might have been a part of those memories. And you and that person might remember things very differently, and how those situations or stories transpired. And that just goes to show it's like, when you go back, and I don't know if there's been, maybe it's like my memory's failing in this sense, but there's been like a piece of media, movie or a TV show where it's like they go back in time and they realize like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. This isn't what I remembered it being. Like, this is a moment that I wanted to change. But then you realize it really wasn't that bad, or wasn't that great. And I think it's like conceptually thinking that having that ability to go back in time and changing things, like obviously it's like it's imbued with hubris, but I think sometimes things go the way that they're supposed to. Like you really don't like. Sometimes people get a second chance in certain situations, but the fact that time travel being an option, like it's just not.
Yeah.
But I think building upon the memories that we had, the experiences that we've gone through, the mistakes that we've made, the regrets that we have, I think all of that compounds and, builds you to, building your future. And even being in the present, being in the moment, because it's like those moments that we have, the moments that I share with you guys, with everybody, with my friends, the people that I care about, to me is like that's what's most important. And sometimes I realize that I lose sight of that a lot of the times. And it's just, I realize that I freak out, I get anxious, I get nervous, I get down and sad about, the dumb things in life that I can't control. When in reality, like then that leads me to like either worrying about the future or just cringing or being scared or being sad about what happened in the past. That it's like I'm not present in the moment. And life is passing me by to the point where it's like I'm putting myself in my own time loop where it's like I can't get out of this cycle where I'm freaking out about what's going to come and I can't get over what happened in the past. That it's like whatever's happening now is just propelling me into that. It's just an endless cycle. And, for me, I've recently been trying to find out like, how do I break that? How do I get out of that? And what I found is like just really being intentional, being present in the moment with the people that are around you in the room, just to set yourself up and prepare yourself. Like obviously being mindful that the future is coming and it might be scary and it might be a lot, but the work that you do now and the things that you learn from the past, from the mistakes from then help you to, get out of that so that you put yourself in a better position for later and the people that you're with. And that's what I like kind of got from, talking with you guys and like thinking about what we were going to talk about. Because it's like a lot of the times these movies are just, for most of the time, they're silly fun. Like there's like, oh, it's a wacky concept. It's crazy. Like it's not really feasible. So let's make a movie about it because it's something that's, movies just like help you escape. But I think it is interesting, just like what you like gets you thinking, like what would you actually do if this was possible, and like where would you go? So those are my 3 cents.
Maybe you're the brains.
No, maybe I'm the mouth.
I don't think that was an option.
It is now.
Do you think there's times where we do try to travel through time, like go back and revisit moments?
I do it every day when I look at my phone. Like when I go to like my photos app and I look at
Really?
like because sometimes it's like it is nice to go back, or sometimes I gotta remember. I don't know. Like for me, I use my like photos as a way to remember what I was doing at a certain point in time, either Snapchat memories or videos or Instagram memories. Like someone says, "Oh, what were you doing back then?" Because we can't like recollect where exactly we were based off the top of our head. And I go back in my phone and I'm looking. And I'm like, "Oh, I was here. I was doing this with these people."
Yeah.
And it's like that's a way for me to like keep like a ledger of where like what I was doing. And but also it brings me back. It was like when I'm scrolling, it's like I look at some of the times I'm like, man, I can't believe I did. I was doing that today. I was looking for a certain video that I thought was funny to share with my friends, and I completely like I was looking through some of the stuff, the memories, and I was like, because that's what they on Snapchat they call them memories.
Yeah.
And I was looking through some of them, I'm just like, wow, I completely forgot that I did this, that I went here, that I was with these people at this point in time, and that like. And it takes you back. Like it takes you like sometimes it just transports you in a way. Like that's the closest I think I can get to time travel.
Yeah.
I
get those Apple photo album like 5 years ago today. And then or those videos that it auto makes, which is kind of scary, but also I appreciate them because they tend to be pretty good. And it's just like, wow, this was so just, sometimes it's like, oh, this was just 5 years ago. Like my life was completely different.
Yeah.
In whatever is being shown there. And sometimes it's like, wow, it's already been like 5 years. Like, look how crazy, that moment is. Sometimes we get caught in those loops where we like try to return back to another chapter of our lives. And it's more like returning to a past relationship, returning to a past job, moving back to a city we've been to, and kind of like retreading those steps. And do you think what do you think are the benefits of looking through the past, reliving those moments? What do you think are the detriments, and what is that answer for us?
I think it's different for everybody. But in my experience, a lot of the times like going back and looking on previous experiences, whether good or bad, I think it's just a testament, because in that moment, like let's highlight it, like a bad situation. When
looking up your old flames.
Yeah, like you're looking at like either like just like previous memories or pictures or trips like you went on and stuff like that, and you realize like it's not there anymore, and then like a lot of the times it's like, oh, like when this ended, it felt terrible.
Yeah.
But then you realize you go over, you kind of like do like a recap of what's been going on since then, and you realize like those tough moments, those hard moments, the moments that you felt like crap, like you realize how much you've gone through, how much experience that you've gone through, and how you've pulled yourself out of it, and it makes you sure like realize like how strong you are as a person.
Yeah.
Because sometimes a lot of it, like when it comes to either anxiety or depression, it's really easy to fall in the trap of like self-pity, or just feeling sorry for yourself, or feeling bad for yourself. But a lot of times we don't give ourselves enough credit. We're like, where we've gone, like everyone's gone through hard times, everyone's gone through trials, and just a lot of bad crap that's happened to them.
Yeah.
Like that's just life. But you've made it this far, and that's something that you can pat yourself on the back and just remember for next time when things get hard. Like, it's not the end of the world. You will survive this. You will endure, and you're gonna go forward. Which is why, going back to, tying it in like I always do. It's always nice to have hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hope in the sense where it's like, you have these times where it's really crappy, but you have hope that things can get better. And then when things do get better, you can use those times as like, hey, I'm okay. Everything, worked itself out or resolved its way. And then like you use that for the next time that like life's going to throw a curveball at you. But yeah, Danny.
Every time Dan clears his throat.
Just like at the end of last year, I got really caught up with the idea of like, how do you live a life without regret? Which is an ultimate question. I think anyone wishes they had the answer to that. What do you do to live a life without regret? But at the end of the day, I think the only way is to just try your best and do your best every day, even through the monotonous, even through the exciting stuff. Just try your best. I had more to this, but totally left my brain.
Nah, it's simple, but I think it's profound. I really like that because I was at Disney recently, and like we were just like, I was just pretty tired and not really like there. Like I was having a good time, but I was like, ugh. Then this guy like walks this older gentleman walks by, and he had this shirt like with stars on it. It just says, "I'm doing my best." And I was like, oh, like, I glanced at it. I'm like, oh, that's a really cool shirt. And then I thought about it. I'm like, that shirt's like, I don't know why it hit me so much, like randomly in the middle of what is it, Hollywood Studios. I'm just like,
because the magic is coming back to Disney.
Dang, that was crazy. Thank you, Bobby I.
Bobby G.
I thought it was, I don't know, like it was a cute shirt, but it was like, thinking about it, it's like, oh, that's all you can do.
Yeah,
that's all we have, and as long as like you're trying and you are really trying to do your best, I think that's what more than anyone can ask for, and that's enough.
Yeah. If you try your best every day, that's a life without regret, because you can say you tried.
Yeah, it's interesting you say, and words have meanings, and we interpret them individually. Like life without regret, I tend to kind of like push against that. I think for me, regret can be very motivating. And I don't live a life without regret. I try to live a life without guilt. There's mistakes that I made and that I wish I hadn't done. And I'm not going to forget those things, but I'm not going to beat myself up about them. I'm not going to let them weigh me down or even define who I am today. So for me, it's okay to have regrets, but it's not okay to carry guilt about those regrets. So I prefer to, and not regret everything, right? Because not everything's worth a regret. Every misstep, every mistake, you don't know how everything's going to work out.
Yeah.
But there are definitely times where I could have done better and I should have known better. And I try to remember those times, remember those mistakes, and not repeat them. But again, not defining myself by those regrets, but by the choices that I will make better today and tomorrow, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like, because I don't think like one choice defines you, one mistake defines. In today's world, you never know. But
even then, because they're not the protagonist in your story.
Exactly.
So like it may define it in their eyes, but you can't let it define it in yours.
No, that's a great point. And I think like just because you had a bad moment, you made a mistake, that doesn't really define the rest of your life. It might define the moment that you're present in now, but that's the beauty of it. It's that you have a future, and that the choices that you make every day in the now, with the monotonous routine, with just whatever you do in your daily life, can set yourself up to be that person that is doing their best in the future, knowing that yes, sometimes like we will carry guilt based on things that we've done before, things that we've done to either hurt people or hurt ourselves. But I think that a lot of the times we're just hard on ourselves. We're just extra hard on ourselves sometimes, where we beat ourselves up, and it's not. It really like it's hard to say like get over that. But at the end of the day, like you got to come to terms with that. Grow up, stare it in the face, acknowledge it, and admit it, and then move on from it and grow from it.
Yeah, it's not just about like muscling through and overpowering, but finding the systems, finding the methodology, finding whatever it is that you need to be able to cope, sustain, and move forward with it.
Yeah.
We saw a couple of different perspectives here. Life without regret, life without guilt. There's a couple of different perspectives of time travel. To end this conversation, we've seen all these movies, we've heard all these stories and whatever. What's your favorite interpretation of time travel? How does time travel work?
That's tough.
I mean, I guess for my favorite interpretation is you go back and re-experience, do it yourself in the past. I don't think you should be able to go back or like before your own life. I think you would go back into your own body.
Okay, so there's not two of you.
There's not
you
two
go
of you.
back
you,
into
yeah,
your
you are you and you're re-experiencing.
Okay.
And I like that idea
Yeah.
because I would re-experience a lot. I wouldn't change a lot, but I would love to re-experience.
You wouldn't change, but would you be able to change anything, or you're just living your life again?
I would like to just live my life again, but yeah, I wouldn't change it.
Nah, 17 again. 17 again.
You want to be Chandler? What?
I want to be. I want to be. I was gonna say Troy, but I want to be Zac Efron.
Yes, you want to be Troy. What's his name?
Zac Efron.
Yeah, what's his character in High School Musical?
Troy Bolton.
Bolton. I thought it was Bolton, but I was like,
I want
is that
to.
Game
I
of
want to.
Thrones?
I want to be Troy Bolton, anyways. Like,
Is he one of the Game of Thrones characters?
no, Lord. Oh, Lord Bolton.
Yeah, Lord Bolton.
What about you?
So how does that work? You go in and you go.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't want to get to this point, but I mean, Matthew Perry's character ends up, he's like kind of like a deadbeat, and he kind of hates his life, and to the point where he's gonna throw himself off a bridge, and then
That's dark.
some magical entity, whatever, gives him a do-over and puts him back in his actually maybe not exactly how he did it. He puts him back in his 17-year-old body, but in the present.
Oh, okay. You don't want to do that.
I don't know. I don't want to do that. I would actually
want to
go
go back and relive. Right.
But
Are they both in the movie at the same time or no?
No.
Oh, okay.
Like it's Matthew Perry, and then
Maybe
he
I
turns
haven't
into
seen
Zac
this.
Efron.
Oh, okay.
And so, but he basically gets to experience life with his children in high school, and kind of is there for them, and kind of gets to know them more. While also trying to seduce his ex-wife as a young person.
Okay. This does sound like you.
No, I will not. It's not gonna happen. But yeah, I just thought the movie was funny, and just the way that it happened. Plus, I guess the reason I said it is because Zac Efron. But
yeah, because you want to be Zac Efron.
Yeah.
Clearly.
But I think for me, I just go back and be able to in your own body. It's not like you're two different people, because that would be kind of freaky. But I think going into your body and minimally changing things, but I don't know how minimal you can actually get when you're making one small decision.
Oh,
that could
butterfly
have effects for the rest
butterfly
of-
effect. You end up choking in the womb, I think, is the ending of that movie.
Is that true?
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Would you go back in time?
Horrific movie.
Would you go back?
Would I go back in time? I would.
There is
because
okay.
my
There is a
favorite-
risk. There is a risk.
Yeah. My favorite interpretation, and maybe you can give me an example of it, because I was just thinking of a conceptual level.
Mhm.
My favorite trope is when you go back in time and you cause everything that you lived to happen.
The infinite time. Is
Yeah.
it Looper?
Yeah. Oh, is that like Looper?
Is
Yeah.
it?
Okay, perfect. That's great, because I love Looper. And we talked about Looper when we were planning, and neither of you guys remembered anything about Looper.
Isn't that Tenet?
That's also kind of Tenet.
Yeah, but
But I
Yeah,
get
but
what you're
with
saying.
Tenet, you got to
No,
keep
but-
doing it to sustain
No,
it.
but
And I think this is what it is. With Tenet, you got to keep, and hold that thought, don't
Mhm.
forget. But with Tenet, you got to keep doing it to sustain it. To me, it's the revelation that there's nothing you can do to change things.
Ooh, I like that.
To me, it's going back in order to change and realizing I'm the one who did this. Like, whatever we try to do will just cause. The timeline is meant to be.
But even in that sense, like, because of that, and we're thinking like in the terms of Tenet, in the terms of like the protagonist, if he decides like, if he gets to that point, he realizes that what, like, well, obviously what they're doing like leads them to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't like, don't you think there'd just be another way that like it would still happen? Like, let's say the protagonist chooses not to be the protagonist. Let's say the protagonist chooses not to do his job,
Right. But
or
can
not
he?
to save the world.
But can he? Because that's who he is. It's not about predestination. It's not about fatalism. But it's about
But either way, it's still gonna happen
you being called and answering that call.
because that's who you're always gonna be.
That's who
And
you're
I
always
think
going
at
to
the
be.
end of the day, that's what it is. It's like we might want to change things here and there, but at the essence, like at the core of who we are, like kind of like we are who we are. Not to say that people can't change,
Mm-hmm.
because I truly do believe they can. But when you're faced with a situation, you're going back in time, you're kind of like gonna make that choice over and over again, unless like, you know, something deviates, which causes that butterfly effect. But even then, I still think that
Life finds a way.
life finds a way, and it's just, you know, what is it Robert Pattinson says in that movie? It's like faith.
I'm sparkling in the
Faith.
forest.
This is the faith that he has.
There
in
are
the
no
mechanics.
friends
There are no friends at dusk.
at dusk. Yeah.
The faith that he has in the mechanics of the world.
Yes.
That things will plan. That things will
Beautiful. And I'm glad that you cut through all my jokes. Say it again one more time.
play out. I'm gonna butcher it. He basically just says like, through everything that, like, I'm paraphrasing, through everything that happens, like, that's like he just still has like the faith
He has faith in the
in the
mechanics,
mechanics of the world that things will work out, things will happen, will go the way that they're supposed to.
All right. We've explored a little bit of the mechanics of storytelling, a little bit of the mechanics of the world, and we hope that we, for just a few brief moments or a really long extended moment, helped you explore those mechanics in your life. So while we keep trying to figure out how much time has passed, we hope that you keep spending time with us week to week. Till next time, Dan, say it.
Keep on searching. Keep on searching. That's it.